Hey, welcome everyone. It's Thursday and it's time for the special edition of Shooting The Shiznit. Alright, so this is going to be episode 40 and also the 9th episode of the Cool Kids Countdown. I am live from STS Studios in St. Louis, Missouri, giving you the best little wrestling podcast in the business. That's right. This is my third podcast of the week. If you guys don't have anything else to do, want to spend an hour with my old friend JoJo Feeney and Lance LeVine, go ahead and join us on this week's edition of Creative Control as we sit down and talk. We throw some stuff at JoJo's, who's always bitching about things. Next Thursday, that's right, Who Wants to Be the Best Shiznitter Ever? We'll return with the 4th episode of that. I just want to let everyone know you can go to tinyurl.com/STSPod merch. They'll show you all the merch that we have for sale. Make a little extra money. Always follow me on @comicbookmarkbt. That's right, @comicbookmarkbt. You can look at all the episodes, and to the right of it on the website, as you're on the computer, not when you're on your phone, stspod.club. You can join Amazon Music Unlimited, Amazon Prime, a little bit of other things so that we can get kickbacks. We're always talking about the Cool Kids Wrestling and MMA Talk Facebook group. That's what started a lot of this. You guys want to join, ask to join. Don't be an ass. That's right. If you're an ass, we'll kick you out. So be an ass and we'll kick your ass out. We're available on iTunes and Stitcher. Want to say a big shout out and a thanks a lot to my buddy Sean there at W2Mnet.com. That's Wrestling to Max website. We got Bob McGee at Pro Wrestling's Between the Sheets. PWBTS.com and localstolegend.com with Gene Jackson. Also, a shout out to my podcast bros. That's right, Suplex City Limits, Creative Control, and Keeping It 100 with Conan. One of my favorite podcasts with stars, and Conan did a big shout out to us last week. All right, guys, let's get to the episode.
She says, I wish that I could be like the cool kids, 'cause all the cool kids, they seem to fit in. I wish that I could be like the cool kids.
I'm trying to do my best, worst, Lance Russell. Welcome to Cool Kids Countdown. It's Thursday. That's right. I've already said it once, probably in the opening there. But all the way from Chicago, Illinois, is my buddy Lance LeVine. Lunch LeVine, the mediocre Lunch LeVine. How's it going tonight, Lance?
The Antichrist Lunch LeVine. How many times we got to go through this?
Man, I mean, not only are you a heel, but, word on the street. Word on the street today, I'm a heel also. So, 2 heels,
Wow.
2 cunts, 2 bitches, whatever you guys want to call us. Hey, first I want to remind everyone, I want to say something. It was released yesterday. Was an episode of Creative Control. I always push Creative Control on Shooting the Shiznit. But we sat down for, I guess it was almost an hour with Feeney, JoJo, the guy that does the Conan show, and also does Creative Control. And we sat down with him and just for his show, and we bullshitted for an hour, all 3 of us. If you've got an hour, go back and listen to that. This Tuesday, me and Lance, so we talked 2 nights in a row, but me and Lance actually will be doing, Lance comes on the show, and Feeney comes on the show, and we ask Feeney about working with Conan, and then we just ask each other questions. So it's really a fun 30 minutes. I enjoyed it. It's not going to be any special guests except 3 friends sitting around shooting a shiznit. So, but tonight, we're going to do our usual countdown. 10 things that wrestling forgot. So tell us what we're doing, Lance.
It's the top 10 irrelevant things in wrestling in the year 2017 because we figured we've already done things we hate. We've done things we love. Now it's time for things that are meh, whatever. So, and honestly, you can't have irrelevance without Lance, so especially if you're dyslexic. So we're doing the top 10 things that wrestling forgot in 2017, sir.
Well, you do know that was so lame it was funny, right?
Yeah, well, that was the
Okay,
whole
all
point.
right, all right.
So
I
if you
just
can
want-
spell irrelevance, then you could probably spell my name.
Well, we can't. So, and I can't even say it. So, I mean, I already did one podcast on that. So, okay, let's go. You call them out, and I'll start.
So, okay, at number 10 on the top 10 irrelevant things in wrestling, we've got the NWA Network.
Oh, me. I guess we should have the old Stone Cold thing in the background going, what, on every one of these. NWA Network. You know, when I first heard about the NWA Network, I was like, cool, this could be. And then I just got to thinking, I don't watch a lot of the old stuff. And this is where I piss off a lot of people. I don't watch a lot of the old stuff on the network, on the WWE Network. I've went back and watched stuff, and it's like, let me see, if you go back and watch like the Super Friends or Scooby-Doo now, I know, we're still adults, we really are, but we thought those cartoons were like the best thing. I mean, they were, unless we're, drunk or high or something, you can't really enjoy that stuff anymore. And to me, I mean, I try to go back and watch World Class on the network, and that stuff was so bad. And I always remembered it as being really good. And I just think that's the way the NWA Network, we did have a Smashing Pumpkins guy there. He tried to buy the NWA Network, and I think that was just a bad joke. What the hell are you buying? So don't think there's a lot of subscribers. Don't look like that's going to be a big deal ever.
So I'm going to go babyface on this one, actually. It's irrelevant, but I don't really have anything against it, believe it or not. I signed on to it today just to see more about it, and the first thing you see is their catchphrase is, when wrestling was real. So that cracked me up, because I'm like, so you're basically pissing off and insulting your clientele by using that, when wrestling was real? So I don't know. As far as I'm aware, wrestling's never been real, but I could be wrong. So anyway, when you get on there, you actually see some cool stuff. They had the first couple things you see are Dusty and Magnum. There's a tab that you can open up that's just called Blood, so I thought that was kind of cool. There's also a tab, though, that's called Midgets, and another one that's called Women. So I'm like, I don't know. The women are going to look like Moolah, so that's not much of a draw. So it's $5.99 a month, so at least they realize not to charge $10 like the big boys do. But still, it's a finite library, and most of the main stuff that people are interested in are going to be on either WWE or possibly New Japan. So I just don't understand who would be possibly buying the NWA Network. Plus, their audience is going to be dying off sooner or later. And I mean, like you said, Billy Corgan, I don't know if he's still in negotiations to buy it or whatever, but hopefully they do something with it, because I thought it actually looked kind of cool. I just don't know who's going to find time to use it in 2017. So at number 9, we have the thousands upon thousands of amateur podcasters.
Lance, I seen that, and I don't really know what to say about it. I mean, these are things that wrestling the wrestling fans, everyone forgets. There is so many damn podcasts, and when I say I thank everyone for listening, we do 8 shows on the from STS Studios there in St. Louis, and are from here in STS Studios,
and here in STS Studios North. That's
right, and we actually have a good audience, and if we didn't get any more downloads, which I don't want that to happen, we would still have a core of guys and girls that listen and enjoy what we want to see. But I seen a podcast today that followed me. They have 4 episodes so far, and I'm thinking to myself, why did you start a wrestling podcast? But it's the same reason. I guess everyone does. And eventually there's going to be all these that just quit doing it. And then there's going to be guys that have, 100 episodes or more like us, just keeps chugging on. There is way too many podcasts on this subject. I really, and I know you're going to touch on this, but I don't know if there's another fandom that has this many podcasts, but I may be wrong there, because I'm only like a comic book mark and a few others, but I don't find that many podcasts about that stuff.
Yeah, I can't imagine that there's anything out there, even if you add up all the NFL teams and their individual team podcasts or whatever, or baseball teams, I can't imagine that there's as many podcasts as there are on wrestling. So there's probably in your life you probably have time for maybe 2 or 3, maybe 4 or 5 podcasts a week to listen to. So it just is so amazing. And I'll be the first to admit I'm a rookie at doing this. You're not. I'm a rookie at doing this, so I echo what you're saying. I appreciate anybody that listens to our stuff, but I feel like these days every kid with a tablet and an iPhone thinks he's an expert in not only podcasting but in wrestling too, which is ridiculous. So they probably have 14 of their friends listen live from their mom's basement with their replica belts on. I think if they're doing something different and entertaining, smart, funny, any combination of those, I think more power to them, and it's great. But I just think that it feels like every kid in the world has a podcast these days. Podcasting is not going to get you laid, boys, and it's certainly not going to get you laid by Sasha or Bailey, which I think is the master plan for some of these guys. So I just I don't think that unless you're doing something different, like you said, they're probably going to fall by the wayside, which is probably for the best anyway, because there's just way too many of them out there. So at number 8, we have the World Series of Fighting / Professional Fighters League.
Man, you got me on this one. I've seen that, and I know we talk about very little MMA for me. I can't even tell you what the hell this is. I mean, I remember kind of when it started, and it was a big deal, but then it's like now I wouldn't even know where to go to watch it on television or anybody that would fight for these guys. I mean, that's how lost I am on this subject. And I'm usually, prepare myself. I mean, I spend hours before we do this podcast.
You do your homework, yeah.
I do my homework. Actually, I work until we get on here, but I mean, that's how forgotten this is to me. I can't even tell you anything about it. So I'm just going to pass the ball and let you talk about this.
I think UFC is up to about 850 shows a year, and Bellator fills in the blanks when there's slack in that schedule, and I think they run every 4th Friday or something. So, I mean, if you want MMA, there's plenty of MMA out there for people to consume. What is left for these guys? So World Series of Fighting recently they had a name change to Professional Fighters League, and I heard of that. I'm like, PFL? That sounds like a fucking national rodeo competition or something. It doesn't even sound like, an MMA group. So it sounds like either a rodeo or a fitness competition. That's all I can say. There's just enough MMA out there, and there's the problem with it is there's too few stars. That's the thing. There was Ronda Rousey. She's gone. There was Conor McGregor. He's probably gone or on his way out. And I think Bellator has done a decent job with the scraps that they're left behind. They've taken, the guys that UFC chooses not to sign, and they've developed a handful of guys on their own. And they've got obviously great announcing, and otherwise UFC is pretty much saturated the market with programming. So there's nothing for PFL left. So like you said, I don't even know where to find them. I can't imagine that there's a market for any more MMA. So as far as irrelevant goes, Bellator and UFC maintain the relevance in the world of MMA. So at number 7, we have, you kind of actually previewed this earlier, WWE cartoons like Scooby-Doo, Jetsons, and Flintstones.
All right, let me tell you, you're wrong here. Those are the hottest cartoons ever. Damn it. I actually did not look at the sales. I tried to see the direct because DVDs are so down in sales anyway. This is something that if my kids were still children, I would probably buy for them because, just because I was a fan of Scooby-Doo and now they got the WWE people in there. DVD is a thing of the past, and it's something that only hardcore still buy. I was thinking about DVD sales earlier today, like there's a Kurt Angle DVD, and those hardcore people that bought those DVDs now are the same hardcore people that are actually subscribing to the network. There's occasion, a DVD that comes out that may appeal from outside and be the casual fan. I can't see anything wrong with the cartoons because they may appeal to some of the casual fans, but I don't know. I hate seeing it was The Miz, wasn't it? God, I hated seeing him have any, and I like The Miz, but anything to do with Scooby-Doo, you know? I mean, he's in the van, and Scooby-Doo's trying to beat him up and shit. And I just, I hated that, so.
Oh, the cartoon's so irrelevant. I get trying to appeal to the kids. I do, obviously. But, I mean, I would watch the original Scooby-Doo. I mean, I could watch that, like you said, I could watch that and still appreciate it. I think Bullwinkle was, like, my favorite cartoon back in the day because there was so much sarcasm and so many other layers of things that were going on in fucking Bullwinkle. But what they do with these, I don't know what is... Little children are not even going to appreciate these things because they're just, again, irrelevant. These cartoons are just ridiculous. I don't know where they think that it's going to cross over and get the kids to watch Cena and Seth Rollins and, like you said, Miz interacting with Scooby-Doo and George Jetson and so on. So, and there's another weird crossover thing that I've noticed too is the fact that I think it's DC Comics is owned by Warner Brothers, right?
Right.
And Marvel is now owned by Disney. So I'm seeing all these bizarre crossovers. Like, I literally was in a comic book store today, and I saw a comic that was Elmer Fudd and Batman. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? Elmer Fudd and Batman. So that's what made me think of this. Like, you know, John Cena meets Scooby-Doo. I'm like, no, there's no audience for this. I don't know who the fuck is going to be reading Elmer Fudd and Batman. So it made me think that the next direct-to-video is going to be Hong Kong Phooey meets Shinsuke Nakamura. So it'll either be...
Hey, I might watch that one.
Yeah, straight
that.
to DVD or at a theater near you will be Hong Kong Phooey versus Shinsuke Nakamura. So at number, at number 6, I thought we were on Canadian numbers there for a second. At number 6, we'll start getting into individuals now. As far as irrelevant, we've got Rockstar Spud.
Oh, my God. You know, first of all, I followed the Impact thread, and I always made comments and watched Impact, and we'll get... I know this might surprise people, but and I'm spoiler alert, but Impact's going to be down on the list somewhere. Spud, as we were talking, Spud has 91.4K followers. Rockstar Spud does.
Ugh.
What the fuck? And you know what? Here's the thing, though. I've always said this about Spud. If they did managers in the WWE now, if they decided to do that again, he would be get so much fucking heat and everything. He would be excellent in that role. Also, I think I got to pat him on the back because, I mean, he had a role in the company. And then we get a new management, and they said, hey, buddy, you want to go out there and do ring announcing? I mean, here's a guy, you know, that'd be like a guy that, you know, is frying food up in front of everybody, and then when the new management comes in, they say, hey, we need you to stand by the dumpster back there and put all the trash. So you got to give him the props for that, but, you know, unless he was just completely made over, you can't accept him as a wrestler. I never did accept him as a wrestler. Think he's a great personality, but you're not going to be able to use him unless he's just repackaged and put somewhere else.
The guy's had, as far as I'm aware, he's had one good match ever, and that was the hair match with EC3. I don't know if you saw that one, but it was brutal, it was bloody. It was a really good match, and otherwise the guy really hasn't done much of anything. So I think what it speaks to is that British Boot Camp and Tough Enough just don't make stars. I don't know where they're, you know, they can just give up with the amateur reality show competitions to try to create wrestlers. I don't know how many stars have ever been made off those things. I think Johnny Mundo was about the only one I could come up with, and Miz were about the only names that I could come up with that have actually created guys who've carved out good careers from the amateur shows, and that's where Rockstar Spud was found. So, honestly, like you said, the guy's a mini. Looking at him in the ring, he's a mini. They had him in there with Hornswoggle a couple weeks ago, and they looked about the same, so except Hornswoggle's about 200 pounds heavier, but he's a comedy act, and he's really not even good at the comedy. So, like you said, I think they could possibly make a role for him in the manager spot. I don't know what the hell was going on with that Liberace thing with Sandow, but at the end of the day, he ended up with Renee Michelle, who is hot as fuck. So I don't know how that happened, but maybe we can parlay the podcasting into getting hot broads too. I don't know. So somehow it worked for Rockstar Spud, but as far as I'm aware, he's irrelevant in 2017.
All right, so that was number 10 through 6, and we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back after this. Hey folks, thanks for listening to this episode, but I want to remind you we are in the days of summer. That's right, Summer Sizzler Shiznit giveaway. I want to give away some Shiznit, and I want to give it to you. I have t-shirts. I have lunchboxes. I want to give them to you. So how do you win? Well, you look for a new episode of Shooting The Shiznit, a new episode of any of my podcasts, retweet them. Soon as you retweet, your name goes into a sweaty baseball cap. That's right, because it's summer. Your name will go in a sweaty baseball cap, and on September the 1st, when it's all and done, I will start pulling names out and giving out prizes. So retweet, listen, Shooting The Shiznit, win money, Super Sizzler Shiznit giveaway!
I wish that I could be like the cool kids, 'cause all the cool kids, they seem to fit in. I wish that I could be like the cool kids.
All right, we're back. You heard that commercial, but I want everyone to know that this last segment for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is brought to you by Knee Lock and Ankle. That's right, Knee Lock and Ankle. Hey, it's right up there with Beachbody and Amway. So you guys email me about
Where do I send my money? Where do I send my money?
Guys, that's not real, so please don't do it. All right, so tell me what's number 5.
Number 5 is the future of the business, Mojo Rowley.
Let's get hype! My God, Mojo Raleigh is horrible. I know, I've heard only good things, especially from guys that actually know Mojo. As a person, I mean, this is a guy that, up until the day he went to the WWE, was always one of those guys that showed up first for NXT, helped put the ring up. He is always, they're doing exactly what he's supposed to do. A good hand, and probably back in the day, him being such a big guy right there, and he could have probably just been, opening card. And I always said that I had no problem with him being, a tag team or opening card or first part of the show at a big show or the pre-match of a big show, but. Man, he's not going to make it. He's not going to be a star. And I don't know. I don't watch SmackDown and Raw as much as I used to, but I don't even know if he's been even on the show anymore. And he's horrible. He's not. To me, it's not as bad as in the ring as he is when he's backstage doing all that horse shit that he does. So yeah, Mojo Rawlings. Forget him. Please, guys, forget Mojo.
Annoying as hell. He's my Enzo on SmackDown. He's my Enzo because he's just annoying. He can't do much in the ring, and like you said, he might very well be a really good guy. Might be a nice guy. One of those guys that came from another industry and wanted to learn and tried really hard, but he's just not. He just doesn't have the talent to do it. So can't do much in the ring. The promos are the same shit over and over with the hype and all that. He's just never going to be the megastar that people thought he would be. They gave him the Andre win and then basically crickets after that because they had nothing for him. He got the rub from Gronk at WrestleMania and just nothing came of it. So he doesn't have the look. We always compare people to Cena as being the standard bearer, but he doesn't have the looks that women are going to go for. He certainly doesn't have the promo ability that Cena has. He doesn't have half the in-ring ability. Say what you will about Cena's in-ring, but Mojo has half of that. So he's completely irrelevant as far as I'm concerned. And I think, honestly, he's probably going to... The fact that he's lasted in WWE for as long as he has is amazing to me. And I think he'll probably be in TNA as Hypo Rah-Rah within the year. So that's my prediction, Hypo Rah-Rah. So, at number 4... we have the diva, Alicia Fox. Alicia Fox!
Oh, God. I just puked just a little bit in my throat. That's one guy I can't stand. So let me see. I'm not watching the show she's on because we have a reason. We actually have an episode about that, ways you can prove it. But I just popped up because what is Alicia Fox doing? It looks like on the July 11th episode that she broke up, that Dar broke up with her. So, and for your knowledge, she was also a voice in the Jetsons and WWE cartoon.
Ooh,
so
double whammy of irrelevance.
That's right. Film debut, straight to video. Robo WrestleMania was the name of it.
Nice.
I'm gonna download that. I don't know much to say about her. I never thought she was a huge talent. The things that I've seen her do on 205 Live has just been, they're using her as just like one of the old characters, and we talked about this on Creative Control that people are just. I think people want stuff serious. They don't want that. The big balloon characters, and that's kind of like she was playing, the old every girl's a bitch, especially if you're a black girl. So, that's the way they are there at the WWE. Not me. I didn't say that. I'm just saying that's the way it seems like.
You're just reporting.
So, yeah, I'm just reporting.
Yeah.
All right.
So I got 3 words with Alicia Fox. Mae Young Classic. She needs to watch her spot on the roster because there's going to be a lot of girls coming up once they air the Mae Young Classic, and I can't imagine that there's going to be room for Alicia Fox any longer. So when we were putting the list together, I was trying to come up with, she was doing, like you said, the Noam Dar stuff with she's his girlfriend, she's his ex-girlfriend, she's crazy. Before that, I couldn't come up with anything she had done since the wedding planner for Edge and Vicky Guerrero's wedding, where she was cheating with Edge or whatever the angle was. I honestly couldn't come up with anything in between, and that has to be about 10 years ago. So she's a cute girl, don't get me wrong. She's nice looking. I could do without the cane belly button that she has, but that's another story. She's so in the ring. She's not, the worst I've ever seen. She's certainly far from the best I've ever seen. But the fact that she's lasted on the roster for as long as she has, when they've given her basically nothing for 10 years, is just amazing to me. I don't know how she stayed on the roster. She either has photos of somebody, she's good at something, and other than that, I can't imagine why she's been around. So unless she signs some sort of contract, where she's a lifer and she becomes a brand ambassador for them, I think she better be wary of her spot because I can't imagine it's going to be there much longer for her. So at number 3, we have, let me see if I can say it like JoJo says it, Kalisto. Not JoJo Feeney.
Oh, I'm confused.
The better looking yeah. JoJo.
Oh, okay.
Kalisto.
Man, I don't. I actually liked. Him when he was part of the tag team, and I actually think he was really a lot better. At times, he would be really good. This is what kills me about Kalisto. He's really good. Has like 3 good matches, and then he'll just suck up the play. I mean, just suck up, or they'll put him in a match where he lasts 3 seconds, and there's no way he could win that match, and there's no one's going to ever believe it because, and he's one of those guys that, maybe he should go to 205 Live, but who fucking cares about that either? So, you're at the point where Kalisto needs to go back to where he was at, but he's one of those guys that if he goes back, he's not even going to be a star there either. So, what is the biggest thing he's done in WWE? You can't even come up with anything. And the sad thing is, I mean, what is he doing now? I guess I'm not watching Raw, so you might be able to answer that. But, to me, it's just like Kalisto who kind of thing,
Yeah, he's they're not doing anything with him right now. I mean, he had a match. I believe he had a match this past Monday, but it was nothing. So they're not doing anything. There's no angle. I think he's symbolic of how they basically can't book luchadors. They signed who was the other one? Grand Metalik. They've got him. They've got Lince Dorado, and they've got Kalisto, and they don't know what to do with these guys. So Kalisto's music might as well be crickets, Mexican crickets, for all I'm concerned, because his career is like non-existent, basically. So the guy can obviously go. We've seen it. And they obviously what they've been for years trying to do is duplicate Rey Mysterio, and the guy just doesn't have the charisma. He doesn't have the speaking ability, and although he's good in the ring, he's never going to be Rey Mysterio good in the ring. So I think this is a case where the fans have just there's been, I don't want to say a backlash, because if there was a backlash, it'd be like the Roman Reigns reaction, and there hasn't been. They don't hate him like that. But I think they're just ambivalent to him. They're just, again, irrelevant is the word for Kalisto, because they don't view Kalisto as being the Rey Mysterio 2.0. So here's my crazy idea, and I know this is going to probably be seen as the craziest idea I've come up with on this, is why don't they get somebody who knows Lucha Libre and turn over the reins to that person entirely, like a Conan or, names that have come up on our shows before, and have a WWE Lucha Libre show. Exclusively those guys. And I know people are going to shit on that idea because they fucked up 205 Live. But if they gave it over to somebody and they didn't meddle and they just let them do a freestanding Lucha show where none of those guys were on Raw or SmackDown, just have somebody book it like I said, somebody who understands Lucha Libre from AAA or from CMLL or whatever the case may be. And don't book these guys like with monsters. Like you said, what was Kalisto's big thing? It was getting booked with Braun Strowman and tossed in the dumpster and that crappy angle. So I think they could have success with it if they just had a freestanding show and turned it over completely and not the fingerprints of Vince and Triple H on it on a Lucha Libre show on the network. So at number 2, speaking of crappy shows on the network, we have 205 Live.
I just want to start playing parts of our episode. This is an advertisement. 10th Ways to Improve 205 Live. Episode 24, Season 3. One of the most popular that we did of the Cool Kids, except the one where we slammed everybody. Go listen to that. Everybody that listens to that actually pats us on the back and said y'all did a fantastic job, and it's one of the most listened. It is second most listened countdown show, and it really explains everything in the way we think. But let me tell you, if you look at the results of this week's 205 Live, just take a look at the results, and it's the same guys with the same bullshit going on. It's the same stuff over and over, and they just had the greatest thing ever and fucked it up. I mean, they could have had a show that I overused this, but balls to the wall, and they could have had that kind of show. And they, you said the other Mexican guy, what do they call him? Grand
Metalik?
He's awesome.
Yeah.
He worked New Japan, and I was always watching his tag matches because I pick certain guys I do watch their tag matches, and I always watched his shit because he was always so good. He is on 205 Live this week and loses to Tony Nese, who no one gives a shit about either. So, all right, you tell about
like you said, we tried to save the show, but it's still there exactly as is. Nothing has changed.
Wait. I don't mean to interrupt you, but we did try to save the show we always put Triple H and Stephanie when we talk about the show.
Oh, that's true,
so,
yeah. At
Twitter.
At Trips and at Steph. That's right.
That's right.
So
all right,
we
go
tried
ahead.
to save it. It's still there in exactly the same format. I think for me what represents it the best is Drew Gulak, who is about as generic as it gets as a character. And, that it made me think of what was so great about ECW was Paul Heyman had the ability to cover up people's weaknesses and play to their strengths. And Drew Gulak is not a character that you want to have, in a lead role on 205 Live. The guy's a great technical wrestler, a great brawler. He's got so much ability. Why are they using him in the roles that they are? It's just, I think, honestly, I was sitting here trying to think of who does the booking and who does the creative for 205 Live. And the only answer I could come up with was Stephanie's 3 daughters and Shane's 3 sons. So I think the kids all get together on the playground and they book this shit because obviously the show is a fucking afterthought to everybody in WWE, and they can't see that they have so much going on for them there that they're doing nothing with. So I think, like you said, we've said it before, it can be saved with a total overhaul, a total new format, and a much, much bigger roster. So that would be the main ways to save 205 Live, which brings us to the number 1 most irrelevant meh thing in wrestling in 2017. And you shadowed it before, but it's number 1, TNA/Global Force Wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, we in the Cool Kids group, we used to have, 5 or 6 people, and I think it's only Randy and you left.
Pretty much.
And I guess it's just a habit for you guys. Guys, I stuck in there. I was not a huge fan because they had Sting and all. I watched the pay-per-views, but didn't watch TV on a regular basis, even when Hogan was there. But got into it because they got, a lot. in my mind, had a lot of good young stars that you could watch do different things. I just don't see it happening. It's not going to start getting all of a sudden getting great ratings. There's not one person on that roster, and I say that even with Alberto on there that you guys know I'm a huge fan of. There's not one guy on the roster that can make. What am I trying to say? There's not a Stone Cold. There's not a John Cena. There's a whole lot of, not Mojo Rawlings, but there's close to that. There's a lot of those. There's a lot of guys that no one gives a shit about. And they're not going to give a shit about anymore. Until they make somebody that people give a shit about, they're not going to keep returning to that show. If you will see that show's ratings, it's the same fucking people that's watching it every week. On an average, that's the people that's watching it. The only shit that I've liked in the last is anything that has, I call him Caveman on there, and then the Conan stuff. I'm actually a big, huge fan of LAX. So, other than that, and I don't even, there's no way they're going to bring fans back. I just don't see it happening.
I think the name you were looking for was James Storm. It's a roster full of James Storms. Good guys that can go, that have some charisma, that can talk and are entertaining in the ring, but are not going to put fans in the seats, and they're not going to spark the ratings. So that's what it's a roster full of. The more things change with TNA, the more they stay the same. Are they even the number two? Well, they're number two in some people's eyes, but are they the number two promotion in the States? I think the New Japan and ROH can take claims at that title. So I like TNA, always have, but they need to change their approach. We've said it a million times, and they need to do something to get taken seriously because they're not taken seriously. They're known as WWE Light. I think ditching Dixie was definitely a step in the right direction, but I don't know that Jarrett is the savior. He's never had a track record of, being a savior in wrestling. So they've always had the talent. They still have the talent. They still have great guys in the ring. I enjoy watching EC3, Lashley, James Storm, like you said, LAX. I enjoy a lot of what's on there. Rosemary. They need to do what they do best, which is the X Division stuff. They need to stop screwing the boys because there's so much heat and animosity about their contracts and so on. And the thing that's not going to happen that I wish it could is they need to build awareness of the brand and get on a better platform than Pop TV. And that's in this day and age, as far as wrestling having a hard time getting on networks, they're going to have a hard time finding anything that's better than Pop TV, which is actually pretty scary. So, but number one at the top 10 list of irrelevant things in wrestling is TNA.
Hey, I called him Captain Caveman, and Lance, me and Lance is doing something new, recording on a different platform tonight. If you guys give us a shout out and inbox us and let us know whether you think it sounds better or not. Lance, don't hang up till I finish it. That's the way this one works. I have to say that on air here, but I want to thank everyone for joining us. As Lance says, we appreciate you guys listening to us. We're just two guys having fun and pissing people off. So join us in 2 weeks. We'll be counting down 10. Hell, I don't know. We may count down 10 directions that Nia Jax's eye goes. So, all right. Come back in 2 weeks.
See ya.
See ya. And Tuesday, we'll be shooting the Shiznit with Lance. And you can't get enough of Lance. And JoJo.
The JoJo?
No, not the JoJo.
Oh, damn.
God, I wished you had the JoJo.
Me too. You and me both. Shit.
But she likes big, burly, fat guys.
I'm going to have to start eating more Twinkies and growing a beard.
Beard. I like the way you say beard. Say beard again.
Beard.
Are we going to keep this on?
I was going to say, this could be the bloopers, the next bloopers episode.
Fuck the bloopers. We had a bloopers episode and a flashback episode and had a horrible July. Not a horrible July, but, fuck it. All right, I'm fixing to cut the phone out, man. Thanks.
All right, brother.
I wish that I could be like the cool kids, 'cause all the cool kids, they seem to fit in. I wish that I could